like once a month, every new show on Hulu, okay?
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another live Magic the Gathering card design session. Oh, just kidding. This is the first time I've streamed it. So some of you know me as Streamer Bradley. Hello. But for some of you, you knew me in a past Magic the Gathering design stint of life. Yes, so I've done a lot of this over the past many years. And but I haven't streamed doing it in front of y'all, and now you already see some stuff already. It's like, what's going on? This is a card editor program that's already up with some info on it, but I'll explain what's going on in just a sec here. But those of you who don't know, this month is Moxtober. Now, it's not related to those in the wrestling fandom like to call Moxtober for John Moxley. I don't follow that. I don't know what's going on, but it's support for that person during October. And it's also unrelated to Moxie 2D's now declared this year Moxtober. Let's go, Brett. Hey, Johnny. Thanks for that capitalized support. But no, this is Moxtober. Let's see. It started 5 years ago now. Happy 5 years to Moxtober, which makes this the 6th Moxtober this year. And it started in the Magic design community. I started it as like a different way to name Inktober way back then, but it's now since grown to hundreds of participants, thousands of cards over the years across many different communities, Discord, social medias, etc. But most people, what they do is there's 31 days in October. Just like Inktober, there's a single word prompt, and you create something magic related for Moxtober. And we came up with our own prompts in the community of peeps that do this each year. And the first day, see, I'm doing the first 6 days. First day is autumn, and that's what this card is going to be for as well. But once you've designed it or created whatever else magic related, you just share it with your communities. But yeah, okay, so for me, if you want to find out a bit more, maybe we can, let's see, the commands that I have here for some info. We got Moxtober, and then there's a bit more of what I just said. If you want to read it, or you just came in mid-sentence, you can go and see what's going on there. So each year I usually like to pick a theme on top of the cards that I design. I don't just design a random card. I like to do a little extra stuff. So this year I'm designing, since I love werewolves so much, I'm designing a lycanthrope for each day. And to make it fun, it could be like, it's a different animal that you turn into. So werewolf, so a wolf is the animal part of the lycanthrope that you've seen on many a card before. So I decided for each of the 31 cards that I make, it's 31 different animals. And because I'm doing that, I've decided to also be like, all right, let's do 31 different humanoid races that could become that lycanthrope. So we actually saw this in Wilds of Eldraine, a little bit of a difference here, where in Innistrad we're used to humans becoming werewolves. And then Wilds of Eldraine, we've seen elves with the curse of the werefox become werefoxes, so they become fox. Elf fox type is what we've seen there. So for this day today, I've already kind of done some architecting ahead of time of what types I want to see. And for day one, I've decided to do Cyclops becoming a were stag. So why is that? Okay, so there's 31 different humanoid races I got to pick, and human only takes up one of them, and elf, and etc. So we've seen some Cyclopses not just be monstrous, but actually have a class type. Like in the Kylum Battle Bond, we've seen what's their name? It's Cindersplit and Ocalm. Okay, so Ocalm has a berserker class type, so they're not just like this, rawr, I'm a monster. They're a person with one eye. And I thought Cyclops would be a good fit for when looking through the prompts, because this is day one, as in one day. So I chose Cyclops for that. For Elk, I know that there's like in Pokemon, there's the Deerling Pokemon that has like 4 different seasonal variants. There's some tying of like deer symbolism with like seasons and such. So decided to have the aware elk or aware stag, or I thought aware stag kind of sounded cool. But so I chose that as the animal to transform into. So from there, our last thing is a class type. Now, these are the additional rules. Let me do Moxtober extra rules. There you go. You can kind of read that. I decided to give myself. So each card is going to be like a daybound, nightbound, because I would have done 31 different transformational triggers. That's fun to do, but it seems kind of weird to have like different ways to express a lycanthrope changing. I like the idea of them changing at night. That's we've seen the ones where they change every full moon, right? But then there's the version where they change always at night, like we see on Innistrad. So that's what I wanted to go and keep to. So while it could be fun to be like, whenever you create a clue or whenever a two creatures attack, like there's a transformation that happens, it doesn't feel lycanthropy to me. So I'm gonna stick with the tried and true daybound, nightbound, instead of doing 31 different ways to express nighttime or moontime or whichever. So that's what's gonna happen here. Okay, so let's just get right into what I would do for this card here. Now, I've already had some time to think about it off stream because I couldn't help just my mind thinking about it, but this can help us speed through this first one. Okay, so autumn is also called fall, and I thought landfall is an existing mechanical ability that ties together a group of cards that trigger off of whenever a land enters the battlefield. So I thought it would be kind of cool to have a landfall ability for this one, and that kind of and that's what lines up with like me selecting the druid class type here. I'm also going to only not overlap any class types among all the 31. So now that I've used druid on day one, I can't use druid anymore for the rest of them. Not even for forest or leaves. Those prompts are coming up later. Speaking of prompts coming up later, and this is the last little informational command here if you wanted to see all the Moxtober prompts. There they are. So we're going to do 1 through 6. We're going to do autumn, and then orchard, then birds, then nocturnal, then village, then forest. Okay, all right, let's see. So we're going to put landfall here. Now let's look at the colors here, because actually one of the rules, if you spied it earlier in the text here, is that I don't want to overlap any of the color identities and the mana cost for these. And now that we've seen that we have Cyclops and Druid, now it's cool to have Cyclops to be like white, blue, black, red, or green, any of the colors, just like they do in D&D, right? You could have elves that are any of the colors. But we're going to stick with like what you might see in like a core set or other sets where they tie certain creature types to certain colors. Lots of goblins are red, lots of elves are green, but don't frown upon putting a Cyclops at whatever other colors. So, but I do like how it's more resonant already with Magic players that a Cyclops would be red. So I'm going to include at least red in this color identity. Now, because there's Druid, a lot of Druids are usually green, and I think that's what I want to go for here, especially with like when it becomes an elk. It feels a bit good with going with that. Pumpkin card with flying. Is that your pitch for did you see that prompt pumpkin for day number, which one is it, 13? Or is this your pitch for today's? All right, so now we know there's at least red and green. Now what I could do is, because I don't want to repeat a color identity, how it works out is that there's going to be some that are going to have 4 colors in their color identity. So whenever I do a card for a day, I want to think about whether there's opportunities to stretch into those extra colors, so that it makes it a bit easier for when I am running out of color identities to pick from as it goes on. I only did a light amount of architecture. I didn't like assign types for all 31 days and color identities for all 31 days, just ahead of time for this stream. Random pitch, but day 13 will work. flying pumpkins. Then they come down and they get smashed, right? So then smashing pumpkin. Okay, all right. All right, so we got a Cyclops Druid, and I want to go and have a landfall ability because I want to reference Autumn, right? So this is the concept here, and what tends to happen sometimes with these Daybound Nightbound cards is sometimes there's either an extension of what is on the front side in terms of mechanical like ability. Like the front side, like the human side, you might have seen something with like, I don't know, like when you deal combat damage, you draw then discard a card or something, and then on the back side, when you are become the stronger version of yourself, your werewolf form, your were form, you maybe don't have to discard that card. You just draw, right? So in this case, or another thing is you see an opposite. Like it's as if the front side is the what you would do if you were civilized or have control of your mind or whatever. And then when you do become a lycanthrope, the backside is sort of an opposite of what you would do. But most cases, it's an extension. It's like you're rewarded for getting into nighttime. Oh my God, Johnny Quest says, is that for the Smashing Pumpkins? Yeah. We might, maybe there will be a Smashing Pumpkins reference in Day 13. Who knows? But we are trying to focus on make lycanthrope. So, all right. So we know that all landfall abilities have to start with, although some cards say as long as the land has entered the battlefield this turn. But most of them say whenever a land enters the battlefield, as long as a land enters the battlefield under your control this turn. But yeah. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, and then you have effect. That's something happening here. Now, elks like to, go through the forest, and now, do we want to have landfall on the back as well? We could have it to be continually. We have a landfall deck. And it just does something even better than what it does on the front. Now, green is more often the one that cares about lands. We've had red care about lands a little bit, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because if I am doing a color identity of red and green here, I'm gonna want to make sure that the card actually has text that is red and is green where it couldn't have been red or green alone. Now there are some cards that are just like when you have overlap of red and green, it could have been red or green, but because you paired them both up, it's just a juicier, super powered card. For example, red and green have access to fight. But I wanted to go and try to see if we can touch on something that's red that can't be green and something that's green that can't be red. All right. So, so Cyclops, I love the shtick of like having a 1, like a 1 being some kind of related here. We can have like 1 power or 1 toughness. Although Cyclops would tend to be a bit beefier, I think it makes sense to have at least a Cyclops be like a 3 toughness. And it is kind of weird to have it be 1 power. So I don't think we'll have the 1 expressed here. And I don't want to go much higher than 3 here, I think, for Cyclops, because when we transform into the Werestag, we want to be more powerful. We want it to feel like you became more monstrous, right? So even if it was as simple as just a 1 + 1 + 1, this is better. This is good. So whatever the 1 is right here, and then we can have that be compounded as it transforms over here. Okay, so let's see. Maybe whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, it could be card name. Deals 1 damage to any target. That could be a thing. And if you do that, that's like, it could be, let's see, seed, because it's a druid, right? They're in the lands. It could be seed flinging Cyclops or something like that. And now you're just like kind of slingshotting or ooh, siege sling. Oh, that's pretty funny. And if you're aiming, your one eye open. Anyway, yeah. So like the Cyclops flings a seed and it deals the damage, right? So that makes sense, because if a land enters, what is flavorful here is that every time it comes across a new tree or something like that, you you don't have a trainer pass yet, Johnny Quest. Whenever it comes across a new tree or something like that, then it picks up, like, pulls off a seed or something like that, and then it flings it. Or maybe a fruit fling. Let's see. Let's type this in. Fruit flinging Cyclops. And if we do that, we can actually tie into, like, maybe creating food or something like that on the wear stack because you're eating it, stuff like that. You got a Tepig starter. Very nice. I think my first one was it Torchic? No, I don't think so. I forget what it was. All right, whenever land enters the battlefield under control, fruit flinging Cyclops deals 1 damage to any target. Okay. Now, ooh, this could be cool. So if we have a fruit flinging Cyclops, so you're throwing you're throwing some fruit, or maybe seed flinging. Actually, I like the seed part because it's like, I like the idea that you couldn't have created a food thing, but let's see, seed spitting Cyclops. That's kind of cool. Isn't, like, imagine the Cyclops is just spitting the seeds out. That's kind of funny. And then if we do that, a lot of the cards, the lycanthrope cards, like to have a naming convention that kind of mirrors the front and back. They kind of are similar. So you can kind of maybe do, like, you know, fruit eating Werestag or something like that. Let's just put that there for now. So maybe, like, when there's a landfall here, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you could go and do, let's see, create a food token. Now this is so far not looking good for, like, how does this make sense? Like, you're going from spitting seeds to eating fruit. That feels like kind of weird. How do we go and make this tie together a bit better? And ignore the cost up here so far. We're gonna circle back around that, because what we could do is we can do 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, whichever, and then scale it up with the power and toughness as well. Okay, so let's see. Let's see. Do I want to spit seeds? What else can we do? Dealing a damage. We just came up with that as doing ones, but we could just create more, like create tokens or some sort. That's a one thing. Destroying one creature. One creature can't block. That's also a thing. You could do, for example, this thing. Let's see. You could do Stomping Cyclops. Maybe, let's see, why is it a druid, right? Maybe you're doing Soil Stomping Cyclops, right? And then if you do that, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, then let's see. Then what you do here is, oh, you know what? Who can stun? Is it just white and blue that can stun creatures? All right, so in that case, what you could do here is target creature and opponent controls. Can't block this turn. So now we got something like this. This could make more sense. This is a single one. Now the word one is, there's no one in this. That's the drawback of this. An opponent loses the oneness. So I might not do this. I might switch it to, like, what are other ones? What are other effects that use the word one or a number one? So whenever you're dealing damage, use the numbers. Use the number word, like this thing, 1 damage, right? But there are some effects that might say, like you could say exactly 1, or you could say choose. Let's see, 1, 2, or 3, like 1, 2, or 3. But once you do something like that, that loses out on the whole oneness that we're trying to go for with the Cyclops. Okay, is there anything else about a Cyclops that, like, as a Cyclops druid, you're like you're trying to attend to the land. A land enters. What are you doing to the land as a Cyclops? Maybe as opposed to a human. I can make this kind of a little novel flavor. I enjoyed the seed thing. That made me laugh a little bit. Soil stomping feels kind of a little more surface level. No puns intended there. Of what a Cyclops, because Cyclops often are like depicted also as like maybe trying to squish you. So maybe like seed spitting. Spitting is like, so they're eating something and then they're spitting out the seeds. And then there's, oh wow, okay, so that's kind of cool. Let's see, do we still want the landfall part? We could have two things. Here we go. How about this? Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a food token. And then, whenever you sacrifice a clue token, card name deals 1 damage to any target. Okay, so now we're starting to run out of space down here. You can see the reminder text is overlapping on the number. But if you look at this, how we have a repeatable effect here, and also a repeatable effect. Oh, sorry, hold on. Okay, and a repeatable effect here. Then our rarity starts going up. This is at least an uncommon, if not it's not too impressive as, well, maybe a rare could be. It depends on how aggressively costed, I think. If we aim for a rare, we can actually take away the reminder text of this and it would look like this. But maybe what we can do is not try to aim for, let's try to aim for a lower rarity. I always like trying to, I think it's a feat to keep your cards as lower rarity, lower, as much of a lower rarity as possible. Oh wow, I can't, let me see. I'm moving the cursor, but I'm trying to make some room. I think what I got to do is make a new line here. Ooh, don't like that. Yeah, I don't like that overlap here. Wow, okay, so you know what I have to do? Okay, so I'm gonna have to copy this reminder text because it's an auto reminder text here. So if I copy that text, did it transfer over here? Okay, yeah, I could do this myself. This is a manual reminder text, and now I can do what I mean to do. So if we added some spaces here, we can actually kind of hack it over. Oh, see how the word there is like kind of overlapping with that 4? We're having some trouble here. Let's see if we can still manipulate this with that little 4. Oh, okay, I've gone a little too far there. Okay, this is kind of close there, but maybe with this, if we do, let's see, flavor text, that actually kind of maybe saves it there. So if we can just take away that extra spacing, let me go ahead and take away this and let the reminder text do its thing again. See how we're doing. Okay. All right, that kind of actually saves it if we leave a flavor text here. All right. We'll have to come up with something. So I think we want to let's try to keep this as an uncommon. Okay, so whenever a land enters the battlefield under control, create a food token. Whenever you oh, I accidentally put clue. Why did I put clue? There we go. Whenever you sacrifice a food token, Seed Spitting Cyclops deals 1 damage to any target. Okay. All right, so now we have an imagery of what the Cyclops is doing. Okay, so the Cyclops is going to each tree or something, pulling some fruit off of the tree. So you create a food token. Now whenever you chew on the fruit, spits out a seed or something. So actually, maybe I don't want to do apples because that feels too close to orchard, which is another prop that's coming up. If I were to say apple seed spitting, yeah, no, we just want to say seed spitting. There you go. I think that's good enough. Yeah, so this is sort of feels like could be a signpost for like a marriage of two different kind of mechanical directions that you can go. Yeah, I like it. Okay, so now we want to cost this accordingly. I still like the 3-3 part, but yeah, I think costing this at 2 is too much. So if we assume that we're getting, let's see, every food token is an extra 2. You have to pay to gain life, but you get how do I cost? It's going to be at least this. If not, I think it would be at least a 4 here. I think let's leave it at 4 here and think about it as we work on the back. So let's go ahead and do the back now. Where are we at now? Half an hour in? I think some of that was 6 minutes of that was like streaming starting soon, so that's not too bad. We don't want to spend too much time on cards here. Okay, let's leave that. Okay, so now the back. Now the back here, we gotta put in our color identity. We'll come back to the front to do flavor text and any cleanup there as well. So the color identity, I think I do want to keep it as red-green, I think. I mean, we could just keep it mono green. It doesn't matter what the back is, but it doesn't make sense to lose the color, or maybe it does. I don't know. I think we'll just keep it at the same. I think some of the color identity changes might be when we do a mono color card. All right, so I think keeping the landfall is good, and we want to make this like even better than before, right? So let's see. How about like tree shaking werestag? So this is kind of gives you an imagery of, or tree ramming. I don't want to, this is not a joke about like being a ram, it's a werestag. Let's see. Red Bay, what's up? Thanks for stopping by. Might be interesting in Space Saver if the front side makes food and the back side eats food. Oh, true. I like that. Okay, so, and that would still make keep the color identity making sense. Like you're paying red and green, so that because the backside you don't pay any mana for, so it's still within bounds to do that. I think you're right. I think we'll go with that, Red Bay. I like it. We're just gonna move on here. See, the backside eats the food. So what we can do is to enable you to, let's see. We could include a sacrifice a food and then something, and then still have whenever you sacrifice a food. That could be a thing too. Or what we can do is just take away the whenever you sack a food part. I do think it's cool to like collect food while in the daytime. But then now that once you've switched to the werestag, you can't, like the only thing you can do is eat of what you've foraged. That's actually kind of cool. This encourages you to sacrifice while you're still in Cyclops Druid form. So we could take this away and then keep this right here. And in fact, we can maybe even go down to common or keep it at uncommon. So let's see. Whenever you sacrifice a food token, let's see. But then you lose your landfall part. Does that make you want to like, does that feel bad? So now like I want to play my lands, but now I lose out on creating food tokens. Is that a good tension to hold back on your lands? I don't think so. I feel like I want to still be rewarded. Maybe it's like whenever a land enters the battlefield in your control, or whenever you sacrifice a food token, something like that. What's cool there is like play a land, make a food, pass. Oh yeah, that's true. And then you can pay the mana you spent on that you did not spend on the food on their turn, and you're still doing damage to something. Maybe it could also be cool to do other things too. Okay. I like keeping this. Let's keep it simple on the front. On the back, okay, so since we've moved that out as well, we might even do like, this is pretty aggressive here. Maybe you sacrifice a food token. Oh yeah, well now this has to change. Card name. Oh, we lose out on our, oh that's right. We lose out on the oneness of the Cyclops. We were going for like, what does one? Yeah. What if the landfall, is the landfall on the back then? We could just put the sacrifice back on the front, but have a different kind of thing, enabler for sacrificing foods on the back. That would mean you could maybe put +1/+1 counters. That's a thing. That's how you get like oneness. I like putting +1/+1 counters while you're on the back. I think that's good. Let's see. How about this? Put up +1/+1 counter on this card. Maybe activate this ability only once each turn. Maybe we still do creating food tokens. Whoa. Okay, tree ramming. We're still ramming the tree, getting food falling down. And then we can have seed spitting fruit picker. Apple picker. Maybe we'll, I know we said that, I don't know, let's see. Cultivator. Seed spitting collector. Some kind of, harvester. Chewer. Eater. Fruit fan. We'll get back to that, but yeah, let's see. We can keep it the landfall part the same on each side, and then we can do. Let's see. This is feeling a little weird already, but let's keep writing it out and take a look. Whenever you sacrifice a food token. Okay, yeah, now I want to bump this back up here. Okay, so... I think maybe the seed is... Look, we know it's fruit that they're getting, right? So we could just do this. Okay. And the back is still the same, so you don't feel bad for losing out on that. Or we don't even have to deal with like what would feel good versus bad when you have a difference of the landfall availability. But when you're on the back, you can eat the food. I guess, what does that mean? Does that mean when you're a were-stag, you can eat better? Or, let's see. Maybe a voracious, like the tree ramming voracious were-stag. This could be alright. Okay. Now it suffers a flavor text. Apple picking. Something or other. This is what we could spend a lot of time on, but we don't mean to spend a lot of time on. I guess if any of you have a flavor text you could think of for this, go ahead with that. We can come back to that this day. But yeah, and now that I've thrown that up there, we can move on to day number 2. We'll come back to this with fresher eyes, but this feels quick. Okay, seems okay. All right. Next. All right, day 2. Orchard. Orchard is the prompt. Here's what I was thinking for the creature types here. So Azra is a creature type that debuted in Battle Bond. And Battle Bond, that set is all about twosiness. And because of that, I put it for prompt number 2. There's not really any other prompts that fit too well with the Azra. I know Azra have kind of this demonic motif, and there's like Dark is the closest one. There's some Nocturnal, felt more like a vampire. I think I would go with as the race for that, but the race creature type. But the Dark one, there were some other possibilities that I was considering, so I decided to go stick Azra with prompt number 2, and Battle Bond being twosiness. So there you go. Now with Orchard being a bunch of trees that bear fruit and such, or other things, I thought of maybe squirrels like to hang out in all those trees. So the were squirrel is what this one will be, and because of that, I was like, okay, so this is maybe an Azra farmer. It's an Azra farmer taking care of an orchard. Looking up all the farmers that are existing, especially in the Lord of the Rings set, they tend to put them at peasant creature types, so I chose peasant for this one. And yeah, all right, so let's see what that means. Before we start designing, now I realize we just did food for the first one. That actually could be a reason to not do food, even though we spent so much time on food. Or we could repeat a food-based card. So let's go ahead and do look at the color identity. We can't repeat the same color identity as before, but I don't think we'll have much of a problem here because a lot of Azra have black as a color identity. You can find Azra in black and red, but we've already done the red. Now, as for the, and we could do at least black. Now, if we are doing some farmery stuff, we might dip into green, but we don't have to. We could have some kind of black-lined farmer. That's fine. And you know, squirrels are traditionally green, but they've also been black as well. But you can even do this. This is fine to do because you don't have to spend green mana to have a backside that's green. You see this with the werewolves in Midnight Hunt. In the white, there's like a white and blue rare werewolves there, and they just change from like white to red or blue to green. It just shows like it's like a little symbolism of like, oh, you've changed into the monster, which being an enemy color of the color you spent mana on, but it's still within color pie, of course. Like for example, like both black and green can gain indestructible until end of turn, or what used to be regeneration, things, or death touch, right? This would still be good here on this side, which because you spent black mana, or it still makes sense to be a green squirrel with death touch because you spent black mana. Okay, so what can we do with a farmer? So farmers like to create food. They like to care about whenever you create food, because the harvest, what happens when you're in the harvest? You celebrate, yay, awesome. But what do squirrels like to do? Maybe they like to store food in their cheeks, right? Maybe there's something like that. They can also maybe eat food as well. They like to nibble on stuff. Let's see. I know we've seen Forest Walk on like that squirrel general as well, because they like trees, right? Let's see. Whenever you can create a food token upon entering the battlefield. Some of the black cards do that, which is a bit of is it a little bit of a bend? What do you say? Is it because they appear in the Eldraine worlds that, because you do give up, like, you create an artifact token, usually black likes to gain life by like draining from things or sacrificing your own resources, and I guess creating a token and then paying to and sacking the token feels like you're sacrificing this resource you could have used for other things. Scurry / Runaway, the squirrel from Doug Days, the spinoff from Disney's Up, also taunts the dog, which feels green. Oh, yeah. Let's see, scurrying and running away. Yeah, you could like exile. Let's see. So scurrying away, let's see, exiling or removing from combat. Those all still feel a little, okay, removing from combat's kind of a white thing. Let's see. You can also maybe, deal damage as though it weren't blocked. That's a thing that we've seen on some green creatures like Thorn Elemental. And that could be because the squirrel is, you can't stop the squirrel in the trees or something like that. Sometimes the monster part here, what's monstrous about lycanthropes, oh yeah, thank you, by the way, Red Bay, is that you're undoing with the thing you're trying to protect, right? So the farmer wants to create as much food as they can, right? And so the Azure Squirrel can like destroy the food. Like they can sacrifice whenever you sacrifice a food. But being faster, like by scurrying, is also a thing too. So if we're gonna do deal damage as though it weren't blocked, what can you pay black mana for that would tie into it? And if we need to, we can dip back into doing like this kind of color identity as well. Oh, what if there's a malicious farmer? What if someone's making poisonous stuff? Whoa, I like that. Okay. Someone's growing stuff that if you eat it, you die. Yes. Sorry, Azra. I know you could be a heroic thing, but a heroic creature. Not all the creatures aligned with black mana have to be evil, but it is kind of cool because thinking about the poisoned apple and the wilds of Eldraine, I mean, that was fabricated from magic, but I mean, if someone makes intentionally poison